Hello everybody, and welcome to a Hayvering video. Esports is back as of tomorrow. The road to Vegas starts this weekend for both EMEA, which is essentially what used to be the EU region. Europe, Middle East, and Africa is what EMEA stands for, if you don't know. And North America as well, both kick off this weekend, and that's what I'm here to Haber about. We're going to talk about what you're going to see this weekend, what to expect meta-wise, and then a little bit of a dive into the teams that I know that are competing. Just the teams that I think are the ones to watch, I guess. Yeah. So starting this week is the open bracket phase. This is week 1 of a 2-week open bracket phase to start off the qualification. I did a whole video on the format, which you should be able to find pretty easily, but I'll link it down below if you don't know the format, and I'll also link articles outlining it. But essentially, this weekend is an unseeded open bracket, which is best of 1 all the way through until the final, which is best of 3, and it is single elimination, so no second chances. You get a bad draw, an unlucky draw, you play poorly, you draft badly. Unlucky, you can try again next week. Teams will earn points based on their final placements. In this week, first place gets 100 points, second place gets 60, third 40, fourth 25, fifth to 8th get 10 points, 9th to 16th get 5 points. So there will be, a decider for third, fourth place is the only thing that really you can learn from that information. But essentially, just go as far as you can over the 2 weeks. If you get a top 4 finish both weeks, you're definitely going to qualify easy. If you get a top 8 finish both weeks, you'll definitely. If you get a top 16 finish both weeks, you're definitely going to qualify, I think. I don't know the maths on that. But out of the 2 weeks, the top 16 teams from each region will go into a Swiss stage, which I've talked about more in the other video and is covered in the article. But yeah, EU signups are now closed. There were 24 total teams signed up. We'll see if all of those show up on the day. This is a team that I hadn't actually included in my list to talk about, but I've just spotted them and I will include them because I think that's an interesting one, even if Sync's name is a pain to copy. But yeah, EU is for signups is closed. It's going to kick off tomorrow, which is Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, which is 3 p.m. Central European Time, and 2 p.m. UK Time is when the game starts. So SMITE game will be live then. I'll also be live then streaming them. North America starts on Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, which is 5 p.m. Central European Time and 4 p.m. UK Time. It is nice that they changed, it's a total side note, but it is nice that they changed the way they run these tournaments so that EU starts at a better time for us all. I know it means the admins have to be up and working at 8 a.m., which isn't I don't think that normal of a thing for anyone in the gaming industry. And maybe it is. 8 a.m. is an early start for anybody. 8 a.m. is an early start for me. I don't start work at 8 a.m. very often. So I respect that they put the effort in to make things a little bit better. The game start at 9 Eastern Time, but they have to be up and working at 8 to facilitate people doing their registrations and stuff like that. Anyway, in terms of meta things to look out for, God-wise, I think I'll cover first. I think Bacchus is the best god in the game. I think he's crazy, crazy strong. I expect to see him. I think he is better in solo than support. It depends what else you can get to trade it out. I would see he's going to be flexed between those 2 roles. Very highly prioritized, likely should be banned by the second pick side most of the time. Outside of that, I think the gods I'm looking at as priorities are Jingwei, Loki, Susano, Sol, and Hecate. I keep saying Hecate. I keep saying it different every time. We need a definite ruling on how to say that name. But I think they'll be prioritized fairly high. Maybe Ymir as well. I do think he's pretty good also. I really like the way he feels now, by the way. I felt like in the early days, the wall change where you could like jump with it. You could knock yourself forward with it or knock yourself backwards or etc. etc. Didn't feel good, but I feel like it feels really good now. I expect those gods to be high prioritized, and then we'll see what else. Fenrir in solo, maybe. Chak in solo. I think people have figured out Mordred isn't that good. That's been a thing that's been discovered over time. I think when we first started playing Smite 2, everybody thought Mordred was pretty broken. I don't really think so. Invades will be very prevalent. I think Sunder is still extremely powerful in this version of the game. It's getting a big nerf in the patch that's coming out on Tuesday. But for now, it's going to be very, very strong. I expect 2 on most teams in solo and in support. And I expect to see invades and people trying to punish invades. So we'll see action early on in the game. You might see the support go towards the purple to try and invade the enemy team, and then the jungler goes on them. You might see them look to invade the jungler on speed. You might see them go all the way to the other side of the map and look to invade red and blue. I do think that there's going to be a lot of invade stuff at the start of the game, and a lot of stuff based around objectives with these Sunders as well. It's a really powerful secure tool. Crit Hunters and Crit Sol are very, very good at bursting down Gold Furies and Fire Giants at the moment. So I think we'll see a lot of ripping it on spawn of things like that. There's a bug at the moment where I think Sunder doesn't do the right damage when you're level 15. So that's one that you can look out for people abusing as well, like people deciding to pull FG because the enemy solo laner or the enemy support hit 15 and so they can't contest effectively, and so they have to take a fight rather than looking for a 50-50 flip. That's an interesting gameplay facet that I'm going to be keeping an eye out for sure. I've already seen it. I don't know if people have watched, but PBM and co have been streaming their scrims. I've definitely noticed them doing that kind of stuff. I've seen Mike calling out, okay, this person hit 15, we're going to rip FG, let's do it now, quick. He's gonna hit they're gonna hit 16 off of doing red and blue, so we gotta do it fast before they can get in and stuff like that, which is cool. It's interesting. And I imagine that kind of stuff's just going to be allowed for this weekend. They'll be fixing bugs, like a lot of bugs like that on Tuesday, but while it's there, right? I think that's all I wanted to discuss meta-wise. We'll see if anything comes out of the blue, but I think that there's a fairly decent difference between certain gods. I'm going to pause and shut my door real quick. Sorry about that. Okay, and EU teams of note. Let's talk about the teams that I think are probably the favorites or the most stacked within the regions, alongside a couple of wild cards, you might say. So for EU, there's some really strong teams that everybody knows about. There's Giovanni, Giorgio, which is the VaporishCoast, Cozyx, Dardez adapting Nika team. I would say likely going in as the favorites for this tournament. Then you've got Smoke Break, which is Echrome, Isilenced, Angry, Zhainy, and Benko, otherwise known as Deathwalker. That's a really strong team. I don't think this team... I don't know if this team will have been playing as much of the game as some of these other teams and players, but definitely a stacked team there with maybe up there with one of the most individually talented rosters you could put together. Team Risk, which is Streak Up and Genetics reunited, alongside Theakz, aka Big Man Tings, LASBRA in the jungle, and Variety solo. Another cool team. I didn't even know LASBRA was back in Europe until I heard about this team, and it's not a team that I would have guessed coming together. Genetics always loved playing with Streak, so not too surprising to see them back together. But yeah, it's just an interesting mix of players. Theakz in the mid lane, alongside LASBRA jungle and Variety solo, definitely powerful. There's a team called Scrops, which I assume used to be called, they're the ex-Scorpions roster, Aru Scorpions, I'm sure, which is Davy, Predss, Gunter, April, and Cxnnahh. Davy and Predss obviously been playing together for a long time. Gunter seems to be next up in the mid laner. It seems to be the highest rated player in mid at the moment, outside of the really known names. There have been SPL and stuff like that, but Gunter was really looking good in Smite 1. Excited to see how he does in Smite 2. Apreel obviously had a great run into that final Worlds last year, so it'll be interesting to see how he looks in the jungle. Cxnnahh finally back off ping. Hopefully he's back to being good. Not terrible like he was in the SPL. Sorry, Cxnnahh. I feel like I need to stop beating on Cxnnahh. And I think the last team I'm going to talk about is Mockingbird. A name suggested by me, by the way. Hawk took it. Hawk took the name from me because it's got Hawk and Ducky on it, both bird names. So I came up with a few bird-related names for them, but it's Spudio ADC, iRaffer support, Hawk mid, Rapio jungle, and Ducky solo. I think alongside a lot of other people, I thought that this return of iRaffer probably wouldn't happen, but it has. So we'll see how he gets on with this team. I'm interested to see how this team does. I think there's a lot of brain on this team, but I don't know. They're washed. They're washed. This team is washed. Will I regret saying that? I've said it now. I just don't know if they have the firepower to compete with some of the other teams. Not enough young guns, you know? It's an old man team. Coming from me? Yeah, I know. Anyway. There's an all-Spanish team called Titans Reloaded. I don't know if they used to be the Tartarus Titans in the SCC, but that's Ragna. I don't know who Bandolero is, but that's their support. Zhainy in the mid lane, Dark in the jungle, and Lestimics in solo. Good if you want to have a Spanish team to cheer on. It's always good to have one. No Warchi though. So I ain't supporting them. I only support Warchi. And I think I'll talk about one. I've got like 3 more teams listed here. But anyway, there's Tythonic, which is Kalas and Ice reunited, ex-rival support and ex-rival jungle, alongside Emmanuel, who used to be called Okeanos. He's playing mid rather than ADC, which he used to play AC, is the ADC for that team. ACD, he's been around for a long time. Good player. And Nil in the solo lane, also a really solid player. So this team will be solid. But again, lacking the star power, lacking the firepower maybe to compete with some of the top teams here. Yodi Gang, I guess I have to say that one out loud. Merca in the ADC, Ollie in support, Renegan mid, Raze jungle, and Seagull solo. This is a bit of a dark horse team that you might want to keep an eye on. Definitely good players. Whether they'll be able to compete with the top teams, we'll see. But they're a team that you could look at that I could see conceivably upsetting a team. Like I would love to see this Yodi Gang roster up against Mockingbird or Scrops, maybe something like that. I think they could give it a good go. I'll put these rosters down below so you can refer back. And then Old and New, which is an interesting roster name. This one is Sync in ADC, Lycane in support, Dutch Whisperer in mid, Masked Kill in jungle, and Game Hunter in solo. It really is a mixture of old and new. But Masked Kill for a long time was considered like next up in jungle out of EU. Definitely had some great performances. It's nice to see Game Hunter back. He's moved back into the solo lane from ADC. Dutch Whisperer, a really solid mid lane who grinds the game. Lycane and Sync, I'm less sure about this duo lane than I am about the other 3 players. But this is another team that I think could provide some upsets. That's it for EU. Sorry if I didn't mention your team. I already mentioned too many teams. There's only so many I can talk about. NA teams of note that have already signed up. There is still time for people to sign up. So, yeah. There's the obvious team of Cowabunga that we've seen dominating all of the preseason tournaments. That's Hardcore ADC, Aurora support, Paul mid, Panatom jungle, and SOT solo. This would have been some people's like dream team if you could put together a dream team in season 10 Smite SPL, Smite 1 SPL, I guess I should say. So definitely powerful. They've got Auxilidion, Oxy. I'm going to call him Oxy because I feel like I mispronounce his name if I use the full one. Coaching, and from what I've seen, I think he's the only person I've seen in these scrims and things like that, and in tournaments doing what I would consider coaching. He's the only person I've seen like jumping into each game and spectating games, so that's why I decided to include him on the roster. I don't care about who other people have signed up as their subs. The other big team that everybody knows about and has seen around probably is the team name, but with 5 M's, which is Cyclone Spin, PBM, Benny Q, Scream, but with 5 M's, and Cherio in the solo lane. So Cyclone ADC, PBM support, Benny mid, Scream jungle, Cherio solo. It's just interesting. This team's been practicing hard, scrimming, and really looking to compete while creating content, which is cool. I would really recommend checking out some of their scrims if you can. I know that I think last night, about midnight my time, so I think that would be 7 p.m. Eastern time. I think all 5 of them were probably streaming scrims. So if you want to check out some competitive gameplay, you could check out any of their Twitches. Next team is one that I didn't know about until very recently, aka today, and that's a team called Borscht. I don't know how to say Borscht. It's an Eastern European stew, right, of some kind. Is it Ukrainian, perhaps? I don't know. But this is a team with PandaCat ADC, FinoK support, Pegon mid, otherwise known as Pegon. I just enjoy saying his name wrong. Rat Milk jungle, and Baskin solo. Super interesting. Don't know how Rat Milk ended up here. Legend of the scene, just for his name alone. But it does feel a little bit like the soldiers with the clown. You got PandaCat, FinoK, Pegon, Baskin, and Rat Milk. But yeah, this is a team that I didn't know about. I don't know if this team's been scrimming, but they're definitely very, very strong on name power alone. We'll see how they get on. Excited to watch this team. Food Drive for Globe, which is Tegvir, Happen, Globe, Valo, and Karmic. Maybe a less stacked name from I don't know, maybe a less stacked team on name power alone, but I've watched a little bit of this team. They were a team that was scrimming against PBM and Co, and I've seen them in tournaments, and they have looked pretty good. So they're a team to watch out for sure. Bello, this is Tuba, Rongyu, Tuba ADC, Rongyu support, Jangaru mid, Oath jungle, and Rem, who I think is Remakami in the solo lane. Another pretty strong team. It's unusual to see Rongyu on a roster where you're like, where are all the guys you've teamed with for years, Ronnie? What's going on here? But he's on this team. No members of Leviathans in sight, and instead teaming up with Jangaru and Oath from the SPL, and Tuba and Remakami from with. Tuba actually looked really good towards the end of Smite 1, in my opinion. I don't know. I never thought he was. I'll just say I never thought he was that good a player for most of Smite. But towards the end, I really thought he was stepping up and looking good. Yeah, excited to see this team. Mr. Play-by-Play is I'm So Pringles, which I assume is Pringles, aka Shinigami ADC. Monster B support, who I don't know. Crim in the mid lane, Layers jungle, and Snaddy solo. Crim and Layers back together, and yeah, just overall solid. I'm not sure who Monster B is. Maybe I should have done my research before this, but don't know who that is. But the rest of this team, very, very solid. I really like Pringles as a player in Smite 1. Very good player. Seems like a cool guy as well. I haven't spoken to him that much, but seems cool. Snaddy is a good solo laner. Makes YouTube content as well, I believe, around solo. So maybe worth checking out if you're looking for resources for that. I think he's slightly lesser known than some other big content creators. So yeah. And Dashboardians is the final NA team I'm going to talk about. That's Mando, aka Mando Warrior ADC, Dashboard support, XD001 mid, Grave in the jungle, and Rundus solo. Another group of guys who have been solid in the NASCC and SOC for a while, who will be looking to create some upsets and grind their way into Smite 2 competitive folklore as legends. But yeah, I think that's enough havering from me. I hope you found this interesting. I hope to see you watching the games tomorrow and Sunday. And yeah, I hope you've had a great Friday so far and you have a great weekend to come. Thanks everybody for watching. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, do whatever you want to do. If you want to follow Smite 2 competitive, I'm your man. I'm going to be producing as much low effort content as I can for all of time. So thanks for watching, everybody. Looking forward to the games, and I'll see you there. Bye.